Well, I'm pretty sure you know by now, especially if you follow me on Instagram or you follow me on Twitter. If you're not following me on Instagram and Twitter, I don't know why. It's free. It's nothing but just hitting a follow button so you can keep up with the news that we put out right on the time that they come out. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer, you know, to make a full story, but we want to make sure we make these stories. We want to give you much of the information as possible. But for breaking news, make sure you follow the Instagram and the Twitter. So there was a domestic terrorist attack, and let's call it what it is. That's exactly what happened out there in Georgia. Was a domestic terrorist attack by a individual by the name of Robert Aaron Long, 21 years old. Now, we've been seeing this particular wave of propaganda that's been waged against the black community by all the Mzungu media outlets. They're saying that black Americans are the main culprits out here attacking Asian Americans. Most of you looking around say, what are they talking about? They kept running the same video of some mentally disturbed idiot in a loop over and over and over and over and over. And we've seen that before with the knockout game crap. That was propaganda too. Trying to act like black folks just run around knocking people out. You understand what I'm saying? So they created this propaganda. And in my last video, I talked about this. I'm saying, well, you know, there is some issues there, you know, and we need to address those issues. But when you see the white supremacists pushing a propaganda and using other people to pit against black folks, he has his nefarious reasons. So what ended up happening is that this Robert Aaron Long, he decided that he was going to go to some Asian massage parlors. And he went on a domestic terrorist attack spree, shooting and killing about 8 people. 6 of them were Asian women, and one was a white woman. Another is a white man. OK, now there was a survivor. There's a Hispanic male. He got shot actually in the parking lot of one of these establishments. Now, 4 of the women, they said, were of Korean descent. As we know right now. So now this man going around just targeting and killing Asians. That's what he decided to go do. And do you know, and most of you know by now, that this Robert Long, he looks like a straight incel. He looks like, you know, they need to see if he was at the Capitol January the 6th, because he sure fit the description of a January the 6th individual that will show up at those places. You know, they said that he loved God and he loved guns. I said, oh, that's a recipe for a lot of them that will go to the Capitol January the 6th. But we have to understand, his God isn't the God of heaven and earth. His God is white Jesus, the God of white supremacy, because his God says that you can kill anybody as long as they're not your color. And you can even kill your own if they're not following the religion of white supremacy. That's what his God says. And his God is a devil. His God is not the true and living God. OK, now continuing. So this guy was arrested after killing people indiscriminately. He says that he was even going to travel to Florida to start going to different Asian massage parlors and start killing them, too. And he said that he did it because he had a sex addiction. Now, on top of that, it gets oh, the rabbit hole will get more deeper, ladies and gentlemen, with this. After he's arrested with not a scratch on him. Now, a black person with a cell phone gets shot 17 times. Eric Garner was breaking up a fight. He got choked out to death. You understand? Philando Castile got gunned down in his car in front of his girlfriend and her daughter. Video after video after video of black folks being just gunned down for nothing. This fool literally did what Dylan Roof done in Charleston, South Carolina. OK, and literally the same thing happened. I mean, what happened? Did y'all take him to Burger King too? He ain't got a scratch on him. Nothing wrong. He ain't beat up. He not tased. Nothing's wrong with him. He looks very good in his mugshot. But while they was trying, while the Mzungu media, you have to understand this about the Mzungu media. The Mzungu media and the law enforcement, they work hand in hand to protect the image of the white supremacists. The Mzungu media and law enforcement is always got to cover Mzungu criminality. Okay, the media is the public relations wing and propaganda wing of white supremacy. So anytime a Mzungu do something, they're going to start quickly going into public relations mode. They're going to start throwing out all kind of things to humanize him, like they're already doing it. Oh, well, in high school, he was just such a quiet guy. I would never expect that out of him. He went to church. All these humanizing things they're doing to a domestic terrorist. OK, always pay attention to that, brothers and sisters. Anytime a Mzungu do something, their media goes into public relations mode. And you know what? I can't blame them, because that's code. We should be doing the same thing. When somebody in our community do something, really a lot of people in our community that's doing things, they function actually very well. Because due to the terrorism we have suffered, the psychological damage we have suffered due to slavery, Jim Crow, white supremacy we still dealing with today, it is a miracle that black folks have some sort of sanity walking around. And we still not the ones running around doing the things that these white supremacists are doing when they never been through nothing. Nobody took nothing from them. They could be mediocre and get the world. Me and you got to work 10 times harder just to get a sliver of something in this world that we're living in Babylon right now. But the code is when he was arrested, they were quickly trying to say, oh, it's not racially motivated because he said it wasn't. How do we know he said that? Y'all could have told him, don't say that because it's going to come down and, oh, they're going to shift it from the blacks to us now. You can't do that. OK, now let me tell you why I believe he was told not to say it was racially motivated. Let me play a clip of one of the sheriffs out of Cherokee County. He's going to give, this is in Georgia. I want you to hear this little short press conference real quick. It's not going to take long, but let's go ahead and roll that short clip.
He does claim that it was not racially motivated. He apparently has an issue, what he considers a sex addiction, and sees these locations as something that allows him to go to these places, and it's a temptation for him that he wanted to eliminate. He was pretty much fed up and kind of at the end of his rope, and yesterday was a really bad day for him, and this is what he did.
So he had a bad day. That's what it is. So he had a bad day. And he just go out and he specifically target only Asian massage parlors because supposedly he had a sex addiction and that was his temptation. So he's going to only target Asian massage parlors. And it's not about race. Really? Really? But even a black person, they even push, you know, a mentally ill black person, push an Asian person down. You automatically say it's a hate crime. You didn't ask that black person anything. You automatically said that it's a wave of just black people in America targeting Asians, which has been a freaking lie. And we'll get to the history of Asians even coming in our community a little later in the commentary. None of that. You didn't automatically. It's what, hey, he's white and this is what he say and that's what it is. That's exactly what came out. No evidence or nothing. You know, nobody went through his social media. Nobody went through his phone. Nobody went through anything to see he had any leanings toward anything, right? So he had a bad day. You know what, Sheriff? A lot of people have had a bad day in this country ever since when they started to lock things down with a pandemic. A lot of people had bad days when they lost family members due to COVID. A lot of people had bad days when it was going stir crazy in the house. People had bad days because they lost their jobs. Lost their businesses. You understand? Many people all over the country. So, Sheriff, if we just have a bad day, is that what we supposed to go do? We just target a people group and take it out on them, and it's not about race? Okay, Sheriff. But let's get to that sheriff here for a minute. Well, why are we talking about him? Why would he say that like that? Why does he seem like he's trying to cover for him? Well, do you remember January the 6th? when we had active police officers storming the Capitol. Now, I'm not saying this guy was involved in anything like that. Well, let's go into something that happened with him real quick. Now, let's put up this first little picture. It says home is the Director of Communications and Community Relations, Captain Jay Baker. Okay, Director of Communications and Community Relations. Okay, that's that. Now, the next one, Jay Baker's Facebook. If you can see here, it says, love my shirt. He said, get yours while they last. And it says COVID-19. The person at the bottom said, I got the Cherokee Strong shirt. Love it. Okay. Now, right here's the shirts. It says COVID-19 imported virus from China. That's the way Trump says it. Okay. So he is, like what, Trump saying, the Wuhan or China virus, that's him. Okay. So this guy targets Asians, and he is trying to help somebody sell shirts that basically call, the corona a disease from China. Okay. Birds of a feather flock together. You see, let me tell you something. Let me tell all of you something that's listening. You play with white supremacy, you're going to get burned every time. And I know it's easy. It's easy to pile on black people because, white supremacy, we are the #1 target. I understand that you want to side with that system because there's certain benefits that you make and get out of that. I understand that the play could have been, and shout out to Sister Vicky Diller that was calling that out, that the play, could be, let's get some benefits, some money out of some of this by waging a propaganda against black Americans, when that was completely wrong. And let me explain to you why black Americans got so upset with the Asian community about that propaganda. Let's go back in time. When Asian immigrants start coming to this country, definitely within the 40s and 50s, around that time period, white people did not allow Asians in their neighborhoods to live or establish businesses. White folks had that, it was the time of segregation. You wasn't moving to their neighborhoods. They're like, no, you ain't coming over here. A lot of Asians went to the black communities because the black communities was open to them. We opened our arms to the Asian community, no matter where they came from. They started their businesses there because it was cheaper. And also we supported the Asian community. We had no issues with no one from any Asian country because the biggest, the greatest asset of black people and the greatest flaw at the same time is our loving heart and us being accepting of all people. See, like I tell people all the time, we are one of the people that has the true heart of God, because the heart of God loves and accepts all. And we have done that to our own detriment and to our own fault. So you fast forward during the time of the 1960s, when the civil rights movement was jumping off, they was having a lot of riots, etc. going on. As I understand, they was waging war then against white supremacy because black people couldn't even live. During those time period, we just, hey, that's what happens in riots and things like that. Asian businesses was hit like anybody else business was hit at that time period. Some of them, starts having this attitude toward black folks, having certain sentiments. It wasn't because they targeted them because they was Asian, because they never let them in the first place if they was Asian. So they start spreading this thing about, oh, stay away from the black people this, the black people that, XYZ among themselves. At that same time with the civil rights movement, the white supremacists gave them the title model minority. Now, Asian people did not call themselves the model minority at all, but there was a title given to the Asian community to say, look, black people, you need to be like them. They're the model. Be like them. See, just work. Don't say anything. Just stay out our way. Let us do whatever we want. And that's that. But see, the difference is with the Asian community, they wasn't being targeted by white supremacy. They wasn't having their Asian fathers hanging from trees. They wasn't having their Asian daughters when they're trying to walk down the street to a store being gang raped by white men. And they don't ever talk about that history in the United States, that black women and girls used to have to be so careful because gangs of white men used to go and rape black women and girls. That used to happen all the time, even in that time period. They're so quiet about that situation. You know, Me Too, to never talk about that history. Anytime they talk about the debauchery of their own, they don't mention that. But, you know, Tyrannosaurus Burke says, you know, why is it I got to go after white men? Well, you know, I have no respect for her. That's why I called her that name. Anyway, so even after all of that, you still had your businesses in the black community. We have supported your food establishments. Even though you were serving us food you weren't even eating. We supported that, even though you wouldn't hire us for the most part. Okay. We asked you for a job. You wouldn't give it to us. You made all your money in the black community. You have gotten your family out of, you know, squalor and in good position. You can send your children to Ivy League universities. You send your children to great institutions outside of that. You know, you're living very good and well. That's being subsidized by the black community. Because call it what it is. Outside of your restaurants, for the most part, when it comes to those beauty supply stores and all of that, black folks, especially black women in particular, is supporting and subsidizing your wealth that you have. Okay? Even though you were still, some of you were still putting your hands on black women. Okay? And I preach, many other people preach constantly, stay out of them places while they're putting their hands on you. And unfortunately, we got some lost sisters out there that they feel that their nails and their feet is more to them than the dignity of themselves and their people. I know we have some screwed up people in our community, and, you know, I just shake my head, but they still was giving you money. You still didn't get the message. Black folks shut down your Happy Nail Salon in New York and all different ones. They shut down, and you still did not get the message with the anti-black sentiments. But it wasn't like we knew it was there, but it's like, oh, well, them people, you know. But now it's come to a head when you decided to jump on the propaganda with the white supremacists. Now it really flared up. Who started all the hatred toward Asian people? Call it what it is. It's Donald J. Trump. He's the one stirred up his people against y'all. His people was going out there spreading feces on your businesses. They was the one was attacking y'all. And every time they attack y'all, y'all quiet about that. Y'all don't say much. But let it be a black person and let's go ahead on and push this propaganda. So once we seen the propaganda and the way it was coming out, yes, we got very upset and say, how dare they do that? How dare they sit up here and act like we are sitting up here targeting them? Like, I don't even know nobody even targets Asian people. For what? Why? Matter of fact, they don't even live around black folk to target them unless they got a business, and we talk about crimes by proximity. So yes, black folks got extremely offended, including myself, extremely offended by their propaganda. Because let me tell you something, that Mzungu is not subsidizing your income because they're not buying what you're selling for the most part. They're not, except in your restaurants. So you have an individual, one of them, Daniel Day Kim. He was part of it, an actor. He was part of trying to demonize black folk. Try to put on us that we are the purveyors of, you know, hatred toward Asian people, which is totally untrue. You can just look at the history of that. Because we hated Asian people, they wouldn't even step foot in our neighborhoods. But after this white supremacist, and that's exactly what he is, commits a domestic terrorism attack against Asian people, he puts up a tweet. Let's put this tweet up. He says the race of the person committing the crime matters less than the simple fact that if you act with hate in your heart, you are part of the problem. Then why in the hell did Juju Chang and ABC Nightline set up there and literally had people saying the black community need to stop attacking Asians and the black community needs to talk to other people in the black community if it had nothing to do with race? Don't go there, man. Don't go there. Like I said, this is not the old school black media. This is the new one, bro. Like I said, we gonna call you out. Well, our memory is very long over here. Understand that? It's very long. Now, this is my problem with those that participated in that propaganda. This next line here. And to those with power to help and yet sit idly by, your silence is complicity. When I see that, I say, what the hell? Hold on. You was part of trying to demonize black folk. Now, because the white supremacist is committing domestic terror attacks against you, Now you looking at black folk like, black people, hey, y'all can't sit there quiet because, you know, you got the power to help. What power do we have to help? You need to go tell that to that Mzungu. He the one with the power. We don't control the laws. We don't control the police. We don't make the laws. You know, we aren't the president. What do you mean the power to help? So let me tell y'all something. That day of we running to everybody's defense and nobody running the hours as a collective, I'm not going to say individuals, because let me clear that up. I will ally with any person that allies with me and my community and our cause. I will ally with you as an individual, not as a group. I'll repeat that again. I will ally with you as an individual, not as a group, because the one mistake black folks has made is ally with people based on individuals with a group, and that group has so much anti-black sentiment, not the individuals, but the group. And then we get that group out of trouble. And then when they get up and get good, they turn around like, man, all right, man, we done with y'all, F y'all. You know, you on your own. You understand what I'm saying? So we always fighting the white supremacists by ourselves, constantly fighting and fighting and fighting and fighting. Now all of a sudden you want allies. You want black folks to come in and save you. Now they talking about, well, you know, that minority myth is wrong. Why didn't you say that back in the 60s? You sat there quiet, or your forefathers sat there quiet and allowed that minority to stay on y'all for years. Now, because the white supremacists are starting to attack you and you seeing that, wait a minute, I don't want to be looked at no minority, man, that's put me in a vice. Now you don't want to accept it. You will have to thoroughly reject minority because it doesn't make you look good. You say, well, nobody listening to us. Well, it's kind of hard to listen to the minority when you have allowed them to put that on you. That's not my issue to fight, but I'm just saying. But my thing is this. We are not, as a community, going to fight for nobody. No more, unless it's a quid pro quo relationship. I said that with politicians, with other groups. You want black folks help as a collective? What are you doing for us as a collective? Listen, we'll help you fight if you're fighting for us, but every time we left sitting there looking silly, we go fight for this person, fight for this group, fight for that, fight for this, fight. Then when it's our turn to need help, then you going on into the sunset and enjoying your life while we still dealing with the brunt of that white supremacist. That's not right. And I tell black folks, we're not nobody's slaves no more. We ain't got to save nobody. We ain't got to teach nobody about racism. Let me talk about that too. You know, that Sharon Osbourne, well, teach me. No, we're not going to teach you. We're not going to teach you. But I'll be that brother to teach you. I'll teach you. I'm willing to teach you about racism. Okay, I'm willing to do that. But that's going to cost you $200 minimum, because I know you got it with a wealth gap. You got it. It's going to cost you $200 minimum of my time. I'll give you 2 hours, 1 hour teaching, 1 hour Q&A. And I need at least a minimum of 25 of y'all in there or more. I'll teach you about racism, but you're going to have to pay me. Listen, black folks, don't you dare teach them nothing they already know. Well, tell me about it from your perspective. No, I will tell you, but you're going to pay me. Black folks, don't ever be afraid to tell those who have benefited off of the slave trade. And the reason why they got a get wealth gap so big above you is because of slave trade and stealing your land and stealing your inventions and everything. The least you're going to do is pay me to teach you something. You pay that college, you're going to pay me. Because I'm teaching you something you should already know. Right? Right. Okay. So, listen, black folks, you got to get a different mindset. You got to get a totally different mindset. Do not be afraid to tell nobody that you know, what have you done for me lately? Oh, you're going to do something for me. You're not going to sit up there and expect me to put my neck on the line. You know what I'm saying? If you really want to ally, this is what you're saying. You want to ally? Okay. Well, this is how you show that you really want to ally. Start hiring black people in your businesses that when you're in these black neighborhoods. Make at least 50% of your employees be black people. If you want to ally, and you need to do that all over the country. If you really want to ally, give access to all the black-owned beauty supply stores and stop cutting them out. If you truly want to ally. See, the thing is, I don't want to hear no, hey, we know anti-black racism is wrong. Oh, hell no, we know that. We need to see action. We need to see how you put money in a pocket of the black people. Then we need to go to your community and open up businesses in the Asian community too, just like you got businesses in our community. Okay? And then your community need to support our businesses when we there. Not pass by our businesses just to go to yours. See, if you really was about that, if you really said, you know what, okay, we're gonna fight against white supremacy. The problem ain't blacks and Asians. The problem is white supremacy, and this is what we're gonna do. You understand? If you show that and conscious show that's what you're trying to do, instead of saying, hey, we just need an ally. Oh no, ain't no more allies without putting your skin in the game. And you're gonna call it white supremacy if you're gonna do anything. You're not gonna call it what? It's just anti-Asian hatred. No, it's white supremacy. Let's just call it what it is. You got to put skin in the game to get an ally. Black folks, don't you ally with nobody that's not putting the skin in the game for you. Because, you know, we have put our necks on the line. We have put our lives on the line, jobs and everything else to defend other people, other non-white people. And then when it's time for them to defend us, we looking around looking silly while they went on and like, well, I don't want to get involved. We got involved with you. Why you not getting involved with us? No, them days are gone. You need to address the things like Latasha Harlan's. Certain things you have to address within your community. Like, you got work to do for our ally. We don't got nothing to do. Now, some black folks may not want to ally with you at all. Even if you do all that. Well, I mean, you kind of created that. Some of you, not all of you. For years, you know, some of your owners have been putting your hands on black women. You want to ally? Put the word out. Don't you touch them. Leave them alone. Work with local black community leaders. The grassroots. If there's any issues or problems with customers, work with the grassroots and let the grassroots clean that up. If you really want to ally. See, you got to put some work in for an ally at this point. But don't be looking at us talking about the power of Daniel Day Kim. Oh, no, sir. No, sir. We know what you're talking about. Hey, you know, what could we do for us to be Black, Brown, and Asian Solidarity Alliance? All y'all got to do work. I don't want no sign that say, hey, we love black people. Where you work at? Listen, love is an action word. An ally, you know, look like the United States. When they have an ally, they help their allies when they in trouble. And then they help us when we in trouble, we in war or whatever. That's what an ally do. You fight for each other. It's not that you just give to the so-called ally. Then when it's your turn, the ally is like, ooh, man, I would like to help you, but, you know, I got the kid's birthday party this week. Come on, man. You know what I'm saying? But with all that being said, we can relate, you know, to some of you starting to live our nightmare. I know some of you are genuinely scared. I see it. I actually genuinely see it. I know the feeling. Some of you don't want to go out your house and you looking around every corner and thinking you about to be attacked for some reason. I understand that because you live in our nightmare. You live in it. I tell people this. When you allow white supremacy just to attack one group of people in this country, and it's been attacking us constantly, and you said nothing, it's like, hey, it got nothing to do with me. I'm going to stay out of the way. Understand, your day is coming. And now your day is here. Now what are you going to do as a community? I mean, think about it. You talking about power. You got more money than black folks. You actually make more money than white people do. And your population is smaller according to the numbers. So, all thing I'm telling you, you know, it's a hard fight with white supremacy. You know, I understand. We understand. We've been fighting this evil, wicked system for almost 500 years. But don't be sitting up and telling us, well, let me read that again. And those are the power to help and yet sit idly by your silence and complicity. Man, you complicit yourself wherever you want to complicit yourself at. We sure is going to sit down and be quiet until you make things right. And you got a tall order to make things right on. Now, some black people, once again, may not feel, even though I presented all those things, some black folks may feel there's nothing you could do. But, you know, for the most part, black folks see you serious and actually making those things happening for the black community because you truly, you know, you want a partner and you want to make good on that, they may let some of that go, but you got a lot of work to do. I'm just telling you. But leave me a comment, let me know what you think about the situation, you know, with this particular story with this, you know, incel, because he looks extremely like an incel. 21 years old, got that old loser look that a lot of the January Sixers have, just losers. The only thing they have is, you know, white Jesus, guns, and a hatred for people. No matter what this media says, this was definitely a domestic terrorist attack in the guise of hate. I don't care what you say. That's exactly what it is. We've been knowing this white supremacists. We know their moves. We obviously see that everybody in this system is compromised. But, you know, brothers and sisters, let me know what you think.